Algonory, Algonory, Algonory.
Hello children, and welcome to Algonory. Today I shall be reading from the Faraway chair by Enid Blyton. The seat rose up into the air, flapping its green and yellow wings, and it flew about to the children's excited delight. It was a thrill. The children stared at it in amazement. It flew down and down and down. A great misty wind blew about the place, blowing the green and yellow wings very strongly indeed. The children leaned over the chair and looked at one another. "What a strange chair!" said Peter in excitement. They made a terrific noise like thunder, and lo and behold, an island opened up before them, and out poured fishes. A swarm of yellow flies, 4 yellow snakes, and 4 yellow snakes. They came out nearly in time to see the islanders coming towards the queer, bright blue sea. It was most peculiar. There were some 20 small white creatures with fish trappings everywhere. One fish even had a sting. "What a strange thing to happen! It seemed like a fine white land with small toadstools of bright blue colour. But I wondered if someone was out there, if someone from outside, a visitor. So I went into one of the little white shops and bought a wash tub full of ointment." "Wait a minute. Was that the Island of Surprises then?" "Yes," said Molly, opening a little jar. "This strange island has lots of lovely sounds that go off in a hurry. Let's taste it." As soon as the others had gone out of the shop, they were all hungry and tired of waiting. Chinky took them to the storeroom and gave them a small note in small ink. And so on they went, the 3 of them being surprisingly well dressed. Chinky the elf was wearing a red frock with wings that were wide open. "Thank you very much, Chinky," said Peter, and off he went. Suddenly, he stopped and stared at the 2 elves in the street. Molly and Peter saw them. They turned and fled from the 2 pointy elves. Chinky began to walk over to them like a lion, and they stopped and stared at him in surprise. He was a much-loved elf, and one of his first visitors was a boy he had never seen before. The boy told him how he had once banged on a door and been run over by a big black cat. He had been caught by a big black cat. "What's he like?" said Peter. "I have no idea. I don't know anything about him. What are we to do?" "I'd love to know," said the elf, grinning. "But there's a cat just outside our shop who is as tricky as you are." "Shh," said Chinky, and he turned to the cat and said, "Have you any money?" "I don't see any," said the cat. Chinky gave it a little purse. "Come on," he said. He went into the cat's little room and made a silent noise, as Chinky did not want to disturb the cat. The cat was sitting up, startled. Chinky made a little fist at her, and she clung tightly to him. To the cat's astonishment, his fist got so big that it stuck into her dripping, matted, wetted fur. Then she turned and stared in the greatest astonishment. How wet she was! "Oh, oh, oh," she said. "I couldn't bear to sleep because I was getting all wet." "There's a pill you can get for half price," said Chinky, getting all excited. "First come the wet people, Then the elves. They looked into the shop, and they all noticed a large winged creature walking in great trunks, carrying what looked like barley sugar. One foot was green and the other blue, and they shouted in surprise at one another as they saw the strange creatures walking into the hedge. "What do you suppose they are?" said Joe. "They're honey bees," said the red creature, and walked out of the shop. He stared at Joe and Jane in surprise, for he had seen them before. "How do you want your prize?" he asked. "How do you get it back?" "Just tell me," said Joe. And the creature gave Joe a little green slip and disappeared down the endless steps. Joe jumped down onto his hands and knees and begged him to take him up on his offer. "The old lady says that if you get your prize soon, she will send a servant to fetch it back," said Joe. And the servant whizzed down the endless steps and came to a big flower in the middle of the room. On the top was a little switch, so small that Joe couldn't see it. On the bottom was a big oak branch with bellows hanging from it. Joe swung his head to ask if it was true that the flower was about to open, and to his joy he saw a dozen little oak trees leaning over the ground, twinkling their way around the trees. "Come see me again," said Joe, and he lassoed Moonface's long nose with his tail.
Hardcore.